Nice to see you here, Eduardo.
Nice to see you too.
I am pianist Miko of Strings and Hammers Ensemble. And it's nice to have composer Eduardo Costa Roldan, who wrote a piece for all of us called Pulsar, and it's in the CD Strings and Hammers. So can you tell us about the title Pulsar and what this piece is about?
Okay, thank you, Yumi. Hello, everyone. At the beginning, when I thought about writing this piece, I started thinking of, I always need a kind of idea. So I got inspiration by a neutron star, which is a pulsar. So actually it's like very compressed remains of a previous star that has, the material is really compressed and it's very dark material, but it has it shines with certain pulsation through the skies. And what you see from the sky is something that titillates and has this vibration in light. So I took that idea of something that vibrates and creates a pulse that is not completely regular, and that's the basis for the whole work. So that's where the title came from.
Hello, I'm Julia Keller, and I'm the double bassist in the group Strings and Hammers. And I wanted to ask you, Eduardo, how was the instrumentation of our trio and the percussion ensemble together inspiring and or challenging to you? How did you handle this instrumentation?
Well, it was a challenge, actually, as you say, because for me, it was the first time I was writing such a big ensemble. I mean, I didn't have to, because Bob McCormick didn't ask for a specific set. But as I knew that there were a group of very talented musicians there, I decided to go for a big group. And that also gave me a lot of choices in terms of orchestration. I enjoy very much working with color and textures, and sometimes creating new textures and new colors by mixing instruments that are close one to another. And so I felt that I needed like a big group. So in the end, I ended up with 8 percussionists and obviously the Strings and Hammers trio. And each of these percussionists, they don't play just one instrument. I mean, the set is quite big. They use a lot of instruments there. So that gave me the option of creating new timbres and new combinations, which is also the idea of the piece. That is to create a pulse that is not completely clear, and not only in terms of pulsation, but also in terms of timbre. So in a very, very long part of the piece, audiences won't know exactly what instruments are playing, because they are mixing together so closely in register and rhythm that you can't really differentiate one from another.
Hi, I'm Sini Virtanen and I play the violin in Strings and Hammers. And Eduardo, I would like to ask you, since we worked together already a couple years before this project, what kind of effect does it have on your writing or the process of writing when you know the musicians you're writing for?
Wow, that's a very interesting question. I don't think I've ever written for someone that I didn't know. I mean, probably there are some people that I don't know. I mean, I've written for big orchestras, and obviously I don't know everyone, but that's the standard combination. You know, a symphonic band or concert band, for instance, or a symphonic orchestra is kind of standard. But in terms of chamber music and in terms of you specifically, guys, because I already wrote something for you. I think it's like when you write a script and for a film or a play, a theater play, and you have the character in your mind. So when I was writing, I was kind of imagining and remembering when I saw you perform my previous piece that I wrote for you. Obviously, trying not to copy the same writing, being true to my language and my style, but at the same time trying to imagine how would you do that? How would you or Sini or Julia or Yumi play certain parts? And I think that helped, and I think it influenced me in the way I wrote. I saw that you are both of you, the three of you. I thought they were very obviously very good musicians, but also you command a sense of technicalities. The way you relate to the instrument shows a great skill. And I wasn't afraid of writing, difficult parts, or because I knew that they would sound very comfortable and very, So that's an example, I think. And also at the same time, I perceived that you were very subtle when you needed to, and I wanted to explode. You say that, yeah, to use that in the piece, those contrasts. So yeah, I think so. That's something that influenced me, definitely. Yeah, and as I mentioned before, I always, almost always, I've written for people that I know. So I don't even picture myself writing, I don't know, for someone. I mean, I've never written a piece for a contest. I wouldn't know who was going to play that piece. So I think I need that kind of connection.
Yeah, speaking of that, I just found a nice picture. So I'm going to share with everybody. Can you see it?
Oh, yes.
That when you came to Tampa.
Exactly, yeah. That's near your room.
Right, it was in front of my room, my studio.
Yes, in Tampa.
Yeah. And it was after 2.5 years after we played in Madrid at the Contemporary Music Festival in Madrid.
Yes, exactly. In a very nice venue. Do you remember that place? It's in the center of the city, very close to a place where football fans celebrate their victories, Plaza Cibeles. And yeah, it was great. And I remember how intense these rehearsals and the work you did and preparing the recording actually and the performance. It was really intense. It was a lot of work actually for you. So, and I think it paid off.
It was great experience.
Yeah.
And such a beautiful hall.
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful.
You're really lucky to have that hall. And also, actually, I don't know if people normally they're not aware when someone records a new piece, and you go into a studio. And recording in a studio, you probably know very well how cold it can be, because you are normally in a very small room. And in this case, when you guys recorded that this CD together with the other pieces, it was at the Springs Theater studio, which is an old cinema, if I remember well, that is completely empty inside. It is an amazing space. And it allows big groups to play together without having, all these, headphones and all this paraphernalia, which is so annoying. So it was really interesting to see the recording and be present during the recording sessions. It was great. How did you feel? This is a question for you. How do you feel about the recording sessions? Because it was like almost 3 days or more, really intense, very long days, working and recording 3 very, very different pieces. How do you manage to do that? I mean, I still wonder, how do you do that? How was it for you? You can answer, any of you.
So when we get together, it's usually a very, very brief project because Sini lives in Helsinki and Unmi lives in Tampa, I live in Houston. And so when we get together, we are used to put together pieces very fast. And so we are kind of already used to these very intense projects. So I think it was nothing unusual for us.
Yeah, we kind of expect when we meet, it will be super intense.
I see. You're trained for that.
Yeah, but I mean, I really look forward to, and we meet probably once a year, and that's the time that I really look forward to every year, and it's very intense, and it's like we eat together, we live together for about 2 weeks. So, and then all we do is rehearsing, and
yeah, I see.
it's amazing.
Yeah, good. Well, it was quite impressive to see. I'm also I wanted to say something more about the piece, and because sometimes I think I'm not always thinking of the audience. Of course, I think of the kind of music I want to listen myself, and then try to make it accessible to the audiences by I don't know, making or giving a good presentation or writing very clear program notes or that kind of stuff. And in this case, I always think of what would my parents say, because they're not used to this kind of music. And especially with Pulsar, I tried to create something that was very simple in terms of the use of harmony and the use of, there was this, I used like a very simple 6-tone mode, and many times I'm using triads, chords, and I mean, not in a conventional way, but in a way that the result is kind of familiar to any audience. So I was aiming for something that was kind of primal, kind of very, that you could almost, I don't know, listen in your imagination without having to make a big effort. So I don't know if I managed to achieve that, but I honestly, when I heard you the first rehearsals, and even though the score it's got quite, I mean, it's quite complicated in terms of rhythm, and there's a lot of events going on at the same time, but the result was quite clear to me. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but I hope it does to the audiences that will listen to this CD.
What you said is you tried to make it simple, but actually there were a lot of meter changes.
Yes. Yeah. It was, yeah, it's, yeah. Well, you never trust a composer when they never trust us. We always say, no, it's not going to be difficult. But in the end, the thing is, yes, it is, from the point of view of the listener, I imagine that they would feel that there is this pulsation that is constant, but at the same time, it's not completely the same all the time. And that translates into the use of very subtle and very often changes of meter that keep the 16th note as a common beat. But then the way I group them, sometimes it's in 3, sometimes it's in 4s and 5s and 6. So it means that the meter is changing all the time. And if you add to that, there's all the rhythms superimposed to that, then I imagine that for the performance, for you, must have been kind of a bit of a challenge at some points. But I still think that from the point of view of the listener, I think they get this sense of a very rich pulse. That, you know, when you see a star and you see the beams, and you don't see a clear line, you see like little beams here and there. So that's what I was looking for. So I'm sorry if I made you think I was going to write something easier than it was finally. Okay.
It's muted.
Oh.
So you talked about the collaboration with performers that you personally know. So you knew us before, but this is first time for you to work with McCormick Percussion Group. So this must be a new experience, a new collaboration. So can you tell us about it a little bit?
Well, I'm really happy to have had this opportunity. As I said before, I went for a big group and with lots of instruments, and my main fear was that I could that the power of the percussion would overwhelm certain parts, like violin in certain parts. So it gave me the opportunity to study very, very closely and prepare in advance for the writing of the piece to prevent these issues. And then when I started working with and started listening to the rehearsals, I discovered that we didn't need to make too many adjustments in that sense. I remember, though, there was one moment we had to change the way the percussionist was playing the timpani, and we tried several things, and in the end we ended up just playing with the fingertips. I think I had written at the beginning to use that he should use, or she, very soft sticks, small soft sticks, but in the end fingers was something that the actual timpanist proposed, and it worked really, really nice and really fine. And but I think when you have to challenge yourself, it's not usual to write for a very big group of percussion instruments together with other more traditional instruments, and I think it's an opportunity to learn. And also we were very, very lucky to have this amazing group and an amazing conductor. He had everything in his head, and he was very he would give me advice in certain areas, or like the timpani thing. So it was a very good experience, actually. I learned a lot.
Great. Did you get the CD?
Yes, I did. I did get both CDs. Yours too, but I did get the CDs. They arrived quite soon. So they look absolutely beautiful. And I have to also say thank you, and I have to thank Bob for choosing this little artwork that I made, that was intended for as a front page for my piece. And the idea was this idea of this star that is superimposed. So that's why there's so many circles superimposed in this artwork. So, and when I saw the CD, which I have it there, the whole design and everything, it worked really, really well. So I'm really happy with that too. So, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Have you shared it with anyone yet?
Yes, I've started following these instructions that you sent, which are very useful. to, in Facebook. I'm still kind of learning how to use the social media to promote my work. So because I come from this generation where this is all kind of new to us, and but I've started to do it, and I will go on promoting this CD and the best way I can. So yeah, it's on Facebook. I will put it on my webpage too, and it is on my webpage already. And yeah, I think it's not easy in any case, because when you haven't, I wasn't raised with this technology at the time. I remember I started writing music. I mean, when I started writing music, I didn't have a computer even. So I was first piece I wrote. I mean, the first professional work that I had premiered was written on a score by hand. And then I started working with a Macintosh, which had a black and white screen, and we used floppy disks. So yeah, I am that old. So yeah, things have changed quite a lot. So yeah, but we learn. I mean, you have to, and I hope I keep on learning until I'm completely out of this world.
Yeah. Anyone has anything for Eduardo? I think Julia had something.
Yeah. No. I meant. I think I asked you guys this before. I don't know if you. I did ask that, but did any one of you find anything challenging in the piece?
Yeah, the quick change from like Colenio to Pitts to Arco, that was, I think, most challenging, especially in a performance setting, because hands are a little bit sweaty and you're afraid of dropping the bow, and so that took some extra caution, I think, at least.
Oh, but you managed to do that. Are you happy with the results in the live performance?
Yeah, I didn't drop my bow, so more or less success.
Yeah.
Cindy, was that like before your bridge fell, or was
that was after?
That was in Emily's piece.
Yeah. Oh my.
And what about you, Julia?
Same. I mean, I felt that it was very well written for the bass. I mean, it was quite comfortable, and the only thing, yes, but every composer does this, switching back and forth between different techniques. It can be a little bit challenging because it takes a little time until everything responds, especially when you play both. So that is challenging. Yeah, on the bass, everything is bigger and thicker, and
yeah.
So it takes a little more time to make everything sound. So
okay.
But no, it was really comfortable on the instrument.
It's something I just remembered. It's funny thinking about Yumi's part. At the beginning, actually, when I started writing the piece, I kind of thought of the piece as a piano, like a short piano concerto with the rest of the instruments. But in the end, it turned out more like a violin double bass concerto. I don't know why. I just the piano part kept it was mimicking or working with the percussions, and so I don't know, in so many places that it kind of was, I don't know. I think of this double or triple instrument where you have the marimba, the vibraphone, and the piano at the same time. So it was difficult for the piano to stand out as such. While on your case, the the violin and the double bass, it was so clear, and you even have this sort of solo melody, both of you. But I don't know. I think my idea was to make a longer piece, but then I knew I couldn't make it too long, so I think I left the piano for for the end, and I'm sorry about that. How did you feel about your piano part? Do you find it comfortable, Yumi?
Yeah, playing itself was pretty. The figure and everything was idiomatic, so there wasn't anything that I felt like, oh, this is just not piano writing. But as you said, actually, I doubled percussion a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this happened particularly when we were on the stage performing in the concert, that I had all the percussion around me, and I wasn't really sure like if I can be heard or am I too loud sometimes, because I try to project more, but then I was worried that if I'm overpowering others. Um, so that was a little bit tricky. And as you said, that it's probably more similar. Piano is more similar to the percussion than strings. So yeah, but I mean, it's good that I'm kind of percussion hammers, so I should be like part of percussion.
Yeah, yes, you are. Well, Bartok uses the piano as a percussion instrument so often, so you must be kind of used to that kind of writing, which is present in the piece. Yeah.
After the concert, someone came to me and said that he couldn't hear the bass at all. So I was just wondering if it's my playing the instrument, or it's just kind of dance a little bit around the bass. But I'm pretty sure that in the CD it was easier to maneuver around that. So
yeah, I was
probably.
Now that you mentioned that, I was before I was listening again to the live recording before we were having this talk, and also following the score. And as also, I mean, you are doubled, as the piano is doubled by the percussion instruments. You were doubled sometimes with the bigger percussion instruments like the timpani or the bass drum. Or the lower register of the marimba. So, and it's intentional. There's so many parts that it was intentional. It had to sound like that, so the audience wouldn't know if that low fat was double bass or a timpani, and that I think it worked beautifully. The problem is sometimes people are expecting, or the audience is expecting to listen and something that is not there. So I'm happy, and I think that person, yes, said if she or he said that she or he didn't listen to the double bass, it's because it wasn't supposed to be heard. So also the piano, in certain areas you don't really know if it's the piano, if it's playing or not. But it's true that in that sense, in the live performance, Yumi had that feeling that she was probably at some points getting lost, and I agree with that. In certain bars, there was some moments that it was overpowered by the percussion, but it didn't happen all the piece. I mean, it was just a few beats here and there. And also the violin is doubled when when Cindy's playing this Bartok or Coleño. There's always a wooden instrument also dialoguing with that. So the thing is that human ear is so adapted to high pitched sounds, while lower pitched sounds they're more difficult for us to distinguish. So it's easier for any audience to notice a violin doing something that is very similar to, I don't know, claves or or boot blocks than distinguishing double bass, probably. But anyway, I was listening to the recording and the part where you have this kind of melody with pizzicato and string and bow and everything. It sounds beautiful. So, and I think the recording is perfect. So there's the recording for the audiences to listen to the first piece. And you have to take into consideration also that it was the first live performance that you had. You had a couple of rehearsals, and we all know only one performance, the premiere, is not always the best that you can do or the best that you can get. Sometimes things you haven't matured the piece, and but I must say I'm really happy with the result, both in the premiere and obviously the CD is great. So yeah, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Thank you for writing a piece for us.
My pleasure.
It's a beautiful piece.
It is.
Thank you.
Well, Bob said that he felt like there is this kind of a pulse in terms of in bigger picture. It's like in really long pulse going throughout the piece.
Mm-hmm.
Probably relates to what you talked about in the beginning, about the pulse and about the rhythm.
Yes, the structure of the piece has there's these events also along the piece, so that also create this sense of a bigger pulse that is happening also simultaneously within the piece. So it's like several layers of pulsation that I wanted to put together, and that one is more difficult to notice because it's quite extended in time in the piece, but it happens. I don't know if you remember, especially in the piano, it's at the beginning, the first section is the one that triggers these kind of bursts of light that are quite sudden, and that happens quite kind of often, but they're very there's a lot of time in between them, so it's not like a steady pulse. I think that's what Bob maybe meant by the sense of a bigger pulse in the piece.
Yeah, thank you.
Good.
Yeah. Anything else? Yeah. Did any of your family or friends listen to the piece yet?
Yes, I've had my best colleagues, and I mean not all of them, but some of them, and I have their opinions. They one of them said that it's inequivocally it's so clearly you. So it's for him, this friend, he said this piece is absolutely, I mean, I can recognize you, and at the same time it has nothing to do with anything that I've heard from you. So it was quite surprised to hear that, because as a composer you always want to have your own language, something that people can recognize you more or less, or at least you do aim to be logical and coherent. And in this case, it was a kind of a good surprise, because he said, "Yeah, it sounds completely." I mean, I could say it's you, but I've never heard any other piece from you that sounds like this. Probably the fact that it's so many percussion instruments will helps. I don't know. But yes, they liked it. They enjoyed the piece. So I'm really happy.
That's great. Yeah. Anything else you would like to add or ask or talk? Anything?
Oh, no, I don't know. I can't think of anything else. the only thing I worry is, or as we all do probably, is that we want to want this CD to reach as many audiences as it can. So I would invite anyone listening to give a chance to this recording, not because my piece is in this recording, but because there's so many pieces and so different that it's going to be impossible that any listener finds nothing that is interesting for them. I'm sure any listener will find something that is going to be interesting and appealing and amazing for them. So yes, that's what I want to say. People that are not used to this kind of music, please give it a chance. Listen one piece one day, another piece another day, maybe. Just open your minds and let yourself flow with the music, because there's so much good music in this city, and the performances are so good. So it's you deserve it.
Well, thank you so much for talking.
You're welcome.
And so July 10th, Ravello Records, Strings and Hammers. Thank you.